Hello everyone, this is Six Path Weeb, and welcome to my channel. Today's fanfiction continues with a new chapter in our series, What If Naruko Was Born a Senju? Part 3. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is created purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used in this video. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, without any further delay, let's get into the story. 2 years after Naruko had revealed her Makuten abilities, Tsunade, Tonton, Shizune, and Naruko were now staying in a small village in Oni no Kuni. The village was peaceful and tucked inside a gentle valley, with a forest to the north, a calm river flowing south, and farmland stretching across the western fields where villagers grew their food. It was an ideal place for their quiet life. The villagers had once been worried about illness spreading through their community, especially affecting the elderly and children. But Tsunade's arrival brought hope and healing. Within just a few days, the village had recovered and returned to its warm, daily rhythm. As the villagers went about their routines, they occasionally noticed distant rumbling sounds from beyond the northern forest. Soft clouds of dust would rise above the treetops from time to time. At first, they had been frightened. But over the weeks, they grew used to it. They learned that it was simply Naruko and Tsunade training together outside the village at this time of day. With Tsunade and Naruko. Dodge. Tsunade's voice rang out as she tossed a large practice ball toward Naruko. Naruko quickly shifted her weight and leapt aside, landing lightly on her feet. She had grown taller and stronger over time, though she still had a lean frame. Her short-sleeved green shirt and black shorts suited her active training life, and her eyes sparkled with focus and determination. This kind of training had become part of her daily routine. Tsunade believed Naruko's natural control over chakra was something rare and precious, and she wanted to help her build both strength and confidence. From the beginning, Shizune and Jiraiya had been nervous about Tsunade's intense training methods. But Naruko's natural stamina, quick reflexes, and determination helped her adapt well. She could keep moving for long periods without losing energy, and she always tried her best to improve. Even more importantly, Naruko had an unusual ability to recover quickly from exhaustion. It allowed her to continue training safely under Tsunade's careful supervision. Tsunade's lessons focused on movement, timing, and awareness. Naruko wore light training weights designed by Jiraiya, which helped her improve her speed and balance. She would dodge, pivot, and occasionally attempt gentle counter movements under Tsunade's watchful eye. For hours, Tsunade continued throwing practice balls in different directions. Dodge. Again. Naruko moved quickly, her focus sharpening with every step. The training field echoed with steady impacts against trees and soft ground as the practice balls landed. After a long session, Naruko began to feel tired. She took a deep breath, then steadied herself. Instead of only dodging, she decided to try something new. As Tsunade threw another ball, Naruko jumped upward, gathering her chakra carefully. In mid-air, she twisted and performed a controlled spinning kick, striking the ball with precise timing. The ball flew back through the air with surprising speed, passing just beside Tsunade. Tsunade shifted slightly and watched it zoom past before landing safely behind her. A moment of silence followed. Naruko landed on the ground, breathing heavily but still standing strong. Tsunade blinked in surprise, then smiled with pride. "Incredible," she said softly. "Even after all that training, she still has enough control to redirect my throw like that." Her smile widened. "But of course. She is my daughter." After training. "All right, Naru-chan, that's enough for today," Tsunade said as she gathered the training equipment. Naruko panted softly. "But, Kachan, I can still keep going." Tsunade shook her head gently. "It's important to rest too. That's how your body becomes stronger." Naruko looked disappointed but nodded. "Ooh. I like training more," she said honestly. "And I like your enthusiasm," Tsunade replied, "but your medical studies are just as important." At the mention of studies, Naruko's expression changed slightly. She had grown very interested in healing work after once helping a small injured animal in the forest. Since then, she had wanted to understand how to help others feel better. Now, she trained not only to become strong, but also to become a skilled healer. "I want to be strong like you, Uro-sanin, and the fourth Hokage," Naruko said proudly. Tsunade paused for a moment, then gently adjusted her tone. "And you are learning well. But balance is important. Strength without knowledge can't help people." Naruko thought about this and slowly nodded. "Okay. I'll study too." Dash. The village home. Later, as they returned to their small home, Shizune hurried outside with a slightly concerned expression. Tsunade-sensei, she said quickly, there is someone here asking for help. They want to speak with you directly. Tsunade's expression grew more serious, though she remained calm. She nodded once. I see. Naruko, Shizune, stay outside for now and continue practicing your senbon accuracy. Naruko smiled immediately, her energy returning. Okay, Kachan. Shizune gently guided Naruko to a safe practice area near the house where small wooden targets had been set up for gentle precision training. Naruko picked up her training senbon and focused carefully. I'll hit the center this time, she said determinedly. Shizune smiled. That's the spirit, Naruko. As Tsunade walked inside the house to meet the visitor, Naruko and Shizune continued their calm practice outside, the village around them peaceful and steady under the afternoon light. Inside Tsunade's house. When Tsunade entered the room, she noticed a young messenger waiting respectfully. He had brown hair, glasses, and wore the official uniform of the guards of Oni no Kuni. A bow rested across his back, along with a neatly packed quiver of arrows used for ceremonial protection during travel. Greetings, Tsunade-sama. It is an honor to meet you in person, the young man said, bowing deeply. I believe you may be mistaken. My name here is Yakumo, Tsunade replied calmly. There is no mistake, Tsunade-sama. You may safely reveal your true identity, the messenger answered gently. Tsunade narrowed her eyes for a moment, then sighed. In a quiet shift of energy, she released her disguise and returned to her familiar appearance. So tell me, who are you, and how did you find me here, and know I was in disguise? My name is Tachuho, he said respectfully. I serve as a personal guard to the High Priestess Lady Miraku, the ruler and protector of Oni no Kuni. The High Priestess? Tsunade repeated, surprised. Yes. Lady Miraku is in great need of your help, Tsunade-sama, Tachuho said, bowing again. He continued carefully. She has fallen ill after a troubling vision she experienced. In her vision, she foresaw danger approaching her position, and though her guards acted quickly to ensure her safety, the stress of the experience weakened her greatly. Since then, her condition has worsened, and even the most skilled healers in our land have not been able to help her recover. She has now fallen into a deep sleep. You are our last hope. Tsunade listened quietly, her expression thoughtful and steady. Before I answer, she said at last, I have a question for you. Of course, Tsunade-sama, Tachuho replied. How did Lady Miraku know to find me here, and what exactly did she see in her vision? Tachuho hesitated only briefly before answering. In her vision, she saw you staying in this village under a hidden identity. She also saw your student accompanying you. And a young girl with bright blonde hair traveling with you. She believed this girl holds great importance in your life. At that, Tsunade fell silent. Her thoughts deepened, and her expression softened with concern and care. After a long pause, she finally spoke. Very well. I will come and help the High Priestess, she said. But I have one condition. Tachuho straightened immediately. Name it, Tsunade-sama. I swear it will be honored. Tsunade's voice remained firm but calm. The vision you mentioned includes someone very important to me, a young girl I care for deeply. Her safety and privacy must always be protected. Until the proper time comes for the world to know more about her, her identity must remain completely confidential. Tachuho nodded sincerely. I understand. I swear on my duty that her privacy will be respected. Tsunade studied him for a moment, then gave a slight nod. Good. Then we will depart within the hour. With that, Tachuho bowed once more in gratitude and left the room quietly. When he was gone, Tsunade exhaled gently and turned toward the door, already preparing for the journey ahead. Outside, Tachuho paused for a moment, reflecting on the strength and warmth Tsunade carried within her. Those who protect someone they love carry incredible courage, he thought. It is not fear that defines them, but care. And somewhere nearby, the young girl with golden hair, Naruko, continued her day unaware of the journey that was about to begin, her future gently and carefully protected by those who cared for her most. 3 days later. After 3 days of travel, Tsunade and her group arrived at the estate of the High Priestess of the Demon Country. As they reached the main gate, Tsunade activated a subtle genjutsu over herself and Shizune, gently altering their appearance so no one would recognize them. They were introduced as traveling healers from a distant village, known for their knowledge of rare illnesses and healing arts. Inside the estate, Tachuho guided them to the High Priestess's chambers. Tsunade quietly asked for the room to be cleared so she could work without distraction. Once the servants and other healers had left, she released the disguise on herself and Shizune and began her careful examination. After a few moments of focused diagnosis, Tsunade turned to Tachuho, who remained nearby. "I'm afraid the High Priestess has been affected by a very rare and dangerous toxin," Tsunade said seriously. "It is difficult to detect and even more difficult to treat." Tachuho looked worried. "What kind of toxin is it, Tsunade-sama?" "It comes from a rare dark-spotted mushroom," Tsunade explained. "In different forms, it can enter the body through food, air, or contact. Once inside, it weakens the body over time and disrupts its natural balance. The early signs are very subtle, which is why it is often missed." "Can you help her recover?" Tachuho asked hopefully. "Yes," Tsunade replied with calm confidence. "But it will take careful work and patience." "Please tell me anything you need," Tachuho said quickly. Tsunade nodded. "Bring several large bowls of hot water. I will need them for the treatment." Tachuho immediately ordered the servants to prepare everything. Soon, the room was filled with steaming bowls, carefully placed where Tsunade needed them. Naruko, who had been quietly watching, stepped forward. "Kachan, can I help too?" Tsunade gave her a gentle look. "Thank you, Naruko, but this part requires very advanced skill. I need you to help in another way." Naruko sighed softly, clearly wanting to be useful. She liked helping her mother and learning new things, but sometimes the tasks were too difficult for her age. Tachuho then spoke kindly. "Naruko-san, if you would like, there is someone close to your age here, Lady Miraku's daughter, Shion. She has been very worried about her mother. Perhaps you could keep her company while we work." Naruko looked up at that. "Is she okay?" "She has been very frightened," Tachuho said gently. "But her mother is going to recover. I believe meeting you might help her feel less alone." Naruko nodded. "Then I'll go meet her." Tachuho led Naruko and Tonton through the halls while Tsunade and Shizune prepared the healing area. Meanwhile, Tsunade carefully guided the process of drawing out the toxin using her refined medical chakra techniques, working slowly and patiently to ensure the High Priestess's body could begin to recover. Time passed quietly, filled with focused care and steady effort. After a long while, Tsunade finally stepped back, letting out a calm breath. "It's finished. The most harmful part of the toxin has been safely removed," she said. Tachuho's expression brightened. "Then Lady Miraku will be all right?" "She will recover," Tsunade replied. "I will prepare a medicine to help her regain her strength fully, and I will stay a little longer to make sure she continues to improve." Tachuho bowed deeply. "We are forever grateful." Tsunade gave a small nod, already thinking ahead to the next step of healing. Elsewhere in the estate, Naruko followed Tachuho toward Shion's room, unaware that a new friendship was about to begin, one that might bring comfort to two lonely children who both needed understanding, kindness, and hope. Shion's bedroom. In a quiet room inside the Grand Temple, young Shion sat alone in the corner of her bedroom. She had pulled her knees close to her chest and rested her forehead against them, trying to feel safe in her small circle of silence. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying, as worry filled her heart for her mother, the High Priestess Shion, whom she loved deeply. Shion wore a long, elegant yellow and gold robe-like coat, paired with soft red pants and a simple white shirt. Her long blonde hair flowed freely, and a delicate glass charm shaped like a tiny bell hung near the side of her head, softly reflecting the light. As she sat there quietly, a gentle knock came at her door. "Go away. I told everyone to leave me alone," Shion said sadly, her voice trembling. "Shion-san, it is Tachuho. I have news about your mother. May I come in?" came a calm voice from outside. At the mention of her mother, Shion lifted her head quickly. "Oh, Okasan?" She hesitated for a moment, then slowly opened the door. Tachuho stepped inside with a gentle expression. "I know what you are afraid of asking," he said softly. "But no, your mother is not gone. She is still with us." Shion's eyes widened with hope and confusion. So? She is not going to die?" Tachuho shook his head kindly. "No. A skilled healer from a distant village came and helped her. Your mother is resting now and slowly recovering. She is safe." For a moment, Shion could not believe it. Then relief washed over her, and she ran forward, hugging Tachuho tightly as tears of joy replaced her earlier sadness. After a while, she stepped back and asked softly, "Can I see her?" "She is still resting," Tachuho replied gently. "But when she regains her strength, I promise you will be able to see her." Shion nodded, holding onto that promise like a warm light in her heart. Then Tachuho spoke again. There is something else I would like to tell you. Shion looked up curiously. The healer who saved your mother has come with her daughter. Her name is Naruko. She is about your age, and she often travels with her mother. She doesn't have many friends right now, just like you. I thought. Maybe the two of you could meet. Shion's expression turned shy and uncertain. But. What if she doesn't like me? What if she runs away like the others? Tachuho gently shook his head. Naruko is a kind girl. I think she understands what it feels like to be alone sometimes. But you will never know unless you try. After a small pause, Shion finally nodded. I will try. But please stay with me. Tachuho smiled warmly. Of course. Soon after, Tachuho opened the door again, and a girl stepped inside. Naruko looked around curiously, her bright eyes full of energy but also kindness. She wore simple travel clothes and stood beside a small, friendly pig named Tauntaun. Hello, Naruko said gently with a smile. I'm Naruko. It's nice to meet you. Shion stayed partly behind Tachuho, nervous and quiet. For a moment, she said nothing at all. Naruko did not rush her. Instead, she simply stepped a little closer, keeping a gentle distance. I heard you like playing. I was wondering. Would you like to play with me? I don't have many friends here either, and Tauntaun really likes meeting new people. Shion blinked, surprised. Slowly, she asked in a small voice, why you really want to play with me? Naruko nodded. Of course I do. Shion hesitated again. Aren't you afraid of me? Naruko tilted her head, confused. Why would I be afraid? You seem nice. Shion's voice grew even quieter. Other children. They run away from me. They say strange things about me. Naruko's expression softened. Then they just don't understand you. My mother always says people should never be alone just because they are different. For the first time, Shion felt something warm and unfamiliar, hope. You really want to be my friend? She asked softly. Naruko smiled brightly and held out her hand. Yes. After a moment of hesitation, Shion slowly reached out and took it. Oink. Tauntaun chirped happily, as if joining in the moment. Naruko laughed gently. Oh, this is Tauntaun. She travels with me everywhere. Shion carefully knelt down and gently petted Tauntaun, who seemed very pleased with the attention. Naruko grinned. Do you want to play a game? Maybe tag? Shion paused, then gave a small, genuine smile. Okay. I would like that. And together, Naruko, Shion, and Tauntaun went outside into the soft light of the day, ready to share the first steps of a new friendship. Behind them, Tachuho watched quietly, smiling with relief and happiness. For the first time in a long while, he saw Shion's smile not as something rare, but as something beginning to grow. Outside in the estate garden. For the next hour or two, Shion, Naruko, and Tauntaun played together happily. They enjoyed games like tag and hide and seek, laughing as they ran between the flowers and shaded paths of the estate garden. Afterward, Shion showed Naruko around the estate. She even brought her to a hidden part of the garden where she and her mother often planted flowers. This is where Okasan and I come sometimes to plant flowers, said Shion as she looked around at the colorful plants. As Naruko explored the area, she noticed a small, dying flower bush near the edge of the flower patch. What's wrong with that? Naruko asked, pointing toward it. When Shion saw what Naruko was pointing at, she blushed and lowered her head in embarrassment. That was a rose bush I tried to grow by myself, Shion admitted sadly. Most of the flowers here were grown by Okasan, and the rest I grew with her help. I wanted to grow one all on my own, but it was harder than I thought. No matter what I did, it wouldn't grow properly. And it started to die. If you like, I can help, offered Naruko. What can you do? Shion asked curiously. Well, there's a special trick I learned that might help. But you have to promise you won't tell anyone. Not even your Kachan or Tatsuho-san, okay? Okay. I promise. Pinky swear, Naruko said, holding out her little finger. Pinky swear, Shion repeated, locking her finger with Naruko's. Naruko then stepped closer to the dying bush, gently placing her hands near its base. She focused carefully, channeling a calm and steady energy into the plant. At first, Shion was confused. She wasn't sure what Naruko was doing. But before she could ask, she noticed something incredible. The rose bush began to change. Its stems grew stronger, its leaves became vibrant, and soon buds began to form. Within moments, beautiful roses bloomed across the entire bush. How did you do that? Shion asked in amazement as Naruko stepped back and brushed off her clothes. It's a special ability I have, Naruko explained with a small smile. It's called Mukuten, or wood release. It's a special kind of power passed down in my family. What exactly can you do with it? Shion asked, still wide-eyed. Like you saw, I can help plants grow, Naruko said. My great-grandfather had the same ability. He could grow entire forests. He could even create wooden houses and gardens in no time. He helped build my Kachan's village, Konoha, and the huge forest around it. Shion listened in complete awe. My great-grandfather could also use it in special ways to help protect people and even seal away dangerous forces, Naruko added. Can you do that too? Shion asked. Naruko shook her head gently. Not yet. I'm still learning. I can grow trees and flowers from seeds, and shape them in different ways, but I can't do anything like that yet. Kachan says I still have a long way to go. Can't your Okasan help you train? Shion asked. She can't, Naruko replied. She doesn't have this ability. I'm the only one in my family who has it now. What about your father? Shion asked quietly, then quickly regretted it when she saw Naruko's expression change. I don't have a father I know, Naruko said softly. He passed away when I was born, from what Kachan told me. She doesn't talk about it much. I'm sorry, Shion said sadly. It's okay, Naruko said with a small, brave smile. I never knew him. Maybe I'll learn more about him someday. To change the mood, Shion quickly asked, is there anything else you can do? Naruko nodded. A few things, but I can't talk about them. Kachan would be upset if I shared too much. I already get in trouble sometimes. Why would you get in trouble? Shion asked. Because there are people who might try to take advantage of this power, Naruko explained seriously. My Kachan says I need to keep it secret until I'm strong enough to protect myself. If the wrong people found out, they might try to control me and use my abilities in harmful ways. Shion nodded slowly, understanding the seriousness of it. Can you really become as strong as your great-grandfather? She asked. Maybe one day, Naruko said with determination returning to her voice. Kachan, Shizune Ne-chan, and even my training instructors are helping me. I want to become stronger and use my abilities to help people. What else do you want to be? Shion asked. Naruko smiled brightly. I want to become a great healer like Kachan. I want to be a strong Konoha ninja, like my family before me. And someday, I want to become Hokage, just like the great leaders who came before. I think you can do it, Shion said warmly. Naruko blushed slightly and smiled. After that, the two continued talking happily for hours. Naruko made sure not to reveal any more of her abilities, remembering her mother's warning. They enjoyed the peaceful afternoon until they were called by Tatsuho and a few guards for dinner. 3 days after Tsunade had removed the poison from the high priestess's body, she finally awoke from her long sleep. When Shion heard the news, she rushed to her mother and embraced her tightly. The high priestess was overjoyed to see her daughter safe and healthy. She was even happier when she learned that Shion and Naruko had become close friends. During her recovery, the high priestess often watched the two children play together. It warmed her heart to see Shion laughing and enjoying a normal, carefree childhood. In the following 2 weeks, Naruko and Shion spent every day together at the estate, often accompanied by Tonton. Shion sometimes watched Naruko train with her mother. At first, she was nervous seeing such intense training, but Shizune reassured her that Naruko would be safe. And any small bruises Naruko received would heal quickly, leaving her ready to continue learning. One day, Naruko ran toward the main gate of the estate to meet Shion and her guards. Both girls had asked their mothers if they could visit a small park near a nearby village so they could enjoy swings, slides, and other playground equipment that the estate did not have. Their mothers agreed, as long as guards accompanied them and kept them in sight at all times. When Naruko arrived at the gate, she saw Shion, her mother, and 5 guards waiting for her. The high priestess, still recovering, came to see Shion off. Naruko wore a necklace with a large green crystal. Shion noticed it immediately. Naruko-kun, is that your Okasan's necklace? Shion asked. Yes, Naruko replied. I found it in the bathroom. She must have left it there. I tried to return it, but I couldn't find her, so I'm keeping it safe for now so I don't lose it. That's very thoughtful of you, said the high priestess gently. Now go and enjoy your time at the park, and stay close to the guards, all right? We will, Shion said. Together, Naruko and Shion walked out of the gate with the guards, excited for their day of play and friendship. At the park. When the group arrived at the park, the two young children, Naruko and Shion, ran off happily to play on the different play equipment like the slide, seesaw, jungle gym, merry-go-round, sandbox, spring rider, swing set, and chin-up bars. As they played together, the 5 guards watched them carefully, staying alert while allowing the children to enjoy their peaceful afternoon. Everything seemed calm, though a few of the guards remained watchful, sensing that not everyone nearby had pure intentions. Hidden in the tree line beside the park. Unknown to the children and the guards, 3 wandering Ame scouts hid quietly among the trees, observing the park and waiting for the right moment to act. "So how long do we wait, Maku?" asked one of the scouts. "We wait until the moment is right, Ken," replied Maku calmly. Maku was a middle-aged man of medium build with jet black hair and gray eyes. He wore a yellow shirt under a gray-blue flak vest, with dark pants and a small equipment pouch at his side. Ken, a younger man in his mid-20s, had long brown hair tied in a ponytail and bright blue eyes. He wore similar traveling gear and watched carefully from the shadows. "We wouldn't even be doing this if we had been given a proper mission," muttered the third scout, Kame, a younger man with red hair and green eyes. "We were only told to retrieve a sealed object from the estate." Maku nodded. "Yes, but we must be careful. The estate is heavily protected, and the timing must be perfect. We are only here to take the misplaced scroll without causing panic or harm." Ken frowned slightly. "Even so, this place is heavily guarded. We should avoid any confrontation." Kame sighed. "I still think this is risky." "Risky, yes," Maku agreed, "but we will wait and observe a little longer before deciding anything." The 3 remained hidden, but their attention shifted as they began to realize the park was filled with ordinary life, children laughing, guards talking, and a peaceful atmosphere they had not expected. During that time at the park, one of the guards, Haru, stood nearby watching Naruko and Shion play on the swing set. Naruko's laughter was bright and carefree as she gently pushed herself back and forth, enjoying the simple joy of the moment. Haru smiled softly. Like many of the guards of the High Priestess's estate, he knew Shion had often been lonely, but Naruko's cheerful presence had brought warmth back into her days. Haru was a young samurai, known as the champion of the High Priestess. He stood with calm confidence, wearing crimson armor that marked his role as protector of the estate. Another guard, Shuta, approached him. Shuta was slightly older, with a firm posture and a serious expression. "You certainly enjoy watching the children play," Shuta said. "Yes," Haru replied gently. "It's good to see Shion-san smiling again. Naruko-san has been a wonderful friend to her." Shuta nodded but said nothing more, his eyes briefly scanning the area. A moment of unfolding truth. For a brief moment, tension rose as the hidden Ame scouts shifted in the trees, preparing to move. However, before anything could happen, Haru's sharp awareness caught their movement. "Stay here," Haru said calmly to Shuta, without alarm. "I will go speak with them." He stepped forward, not drawing his sword aggressively, but holding himself with steady authority. At the same time, Shuta suddenly hesitated. Instead of acting with the others, he lowered his head and stepped back. "There's no need for trouble," Shuta admitted quietly. "I was approached earlier and asked to lead strangers into the estate. I did not agree to anything that would harm the children or the High Priestess." Haru studied him carefully, then gave a slow nod. "Then help me keep everyone safe now." Shuta agreed immediately. Resolution in the park. Haru approached the tree line and spoke in a calm, respectful voice. "You are not in trouble. If you are lost or searching for something, you may speak with us openly. There is no need to hide." After a brief pause, Maku stepped forward from the trees, followed by Ken and Kame. Seeing the peaceful scene, the children playing safely and the guards acting without hostility, they exchanged uncertain looks. "We were told this place held something valuable," Maku said carefully, "but we did not realize it was a children's gathering." Haru replied, "Everything here is protected, but it is also a place of peace. If you have a request, it can be discussed properly with the estate." The tension slowly faded as understanding replaced suspicion. Meanwhile, Naruko continued to swing happily beside Shion, unaware of the earlier tension. She smiled brightly, enjoying the wind in her hair and the safety of her friends around her. And in that quiet afternoon, what could have become a moment of conflict instead turned into one of understanding, protection, and calm resolution, thanks to patience, honesty, and the watchful care of those who kept the peace. 20 minutes later at the High Priestess estate. On the quiet porch outside her private chamber, High Priestess Miraku rested in a chair, trying to recover her strength after a recent illness. Standing nearby was Tachuho, keeping a respectful watch while ensuring she remained comfortable. Though she was slowly improving, her body still needed time to fully heal. Peace did not last long. Suddenly, loud voices echoed through the estate. The door slid open abruptly, and Tsunade rushed in with Shizune and Tonton close behind. Tsunade looked worried and frustrated, scanning the room as if searching for something she had lost. I know I had it, Shizune. I just can't remember where I placed it, Tsunade said, clearly distressed, turning the room slightly upside down in her search. Shizune bowed quickly to the High Priestess. Forgive our sudden intrusion. Tsunade-sensei has misplaced a very important family heirloom that once belonged to her grandfather. Miraku gently raised her head. Is it a necklace with a green crystal? Tsunade froze. You've seen it? Yes, Miraku replied calmly. I saw it on Naruko. She mentioned she found it earlier and intended to return it safely to you. At the mention of Naruko, Tsunade's expression tightened with concern, her protective instincts immediately awakening. Before anyone could say more, a guard hurried into the room, breathing heavily but unharmed. My lady. There is trouble at the main gate. He announced. What happened? Miraku asked at once. The guard steadied himself. A wounded messenger arrived. He reported that a traitorous guard attempted to cause chaos during an attack by unknown shinobi. The attackers are believed to have been hired by the daimyo of Sawa. Most of the estate patrol was separated during the confusion, and it appears they may have taken the High Priestess's daughter and her young friend into the forest. The room fell silent for a brief moment. Then Tsunade moved first. In a flash, she rushed out of the room, determination burning in her eyes. Shizune followed quickly, with Tonton sprinting behind them. Miraku stood, despite her weakness. Tachuho, gather the guards. We leave immediately. But my lady, you are still recovering, Tachuho objected. I will not remain here while my daughter is missing, she said firmly. We move now. Tachuho bowed. At once. Moments later, the estate was in motion. Guards gathered quickly, preparing to search the forest. At the same time, Tsunade and Shizune reached the forest path. Tsunade's voice was low but urgent. Hold on, Naruko. Just stay safe. Shizune nodded, equally concerned. Naruko-chan, Shion-chan. Please be careful. Naruko and Shion. Deep inside the forest, Naruko and Shion moved quietly between trees, careful not to leave an obvious trail. The forest was dense and filled with rustling leaves, making it difficult to tell how close the searchers might be. Shion crouched behind a tree, catching her breath. Do you think we lost them, Naruko? Naruko shook her head gently, her voice calm but focused. Not yet. They're trained to track, so we need to be careful. Shion's voice trembled slightly. Why would anyone come after me? Naruko thought for a moment before replying. It might be because of who your mother is. People sometimes try to cause trouble by targeting important families. Shion looked down, worried. Then what do we do? Naruko gave her a reassuring smile. We stay calm and stay together. We just need to find a safe place until help arrives. Shion nodded, trying to be brave. After a few moments, distant voices echoed through the trees. The searchers were still nearby. Naruko carefully peeked through the leaves, then gently pulled Shion back. We need to move quietly. They continued deeper into the forest, stepping lightly and avoiding dry branches. After a short while, Naruko spotted a thick cluster of bushes beside a hollow tree. This will work, she said softly. Shion-chan, stay here and stay very quiet. I'll make sure they don't find you. Shion immediately shook her head. No, Naruko. I don't want you to leave me. Naruko knelt beside her, speaking gently. I'm not leaving you alone. I'll create a safe distraction so they go the other way. You'll stay hidden right here where it's safe. Shion hesitated, then slowly nodded. Naruko carefully helped her settle into the bushes, making sure she was well hidden and comfortable. Then she formed a simple shadow clone, one that looked just like her but would only run ahead and draw attention safely, without causing harm. This clone will lead them away and keep them busy, Naruko explained softly. I'll stay close enough to return quickly. Shion watched nervously as the clone moved off through the trees. Naruko gave her one last reassuring look. You're going to be okay. I promise. Then, moving quietly and carefully, Naruko slipped into the forest, using her senses and training not to fight or harm anyone, but to guide attention away from Shion and toward open, harmless paths where help from the estate guards would soon arrive. Behind her, Xian stayed hidden, holding on to hope as the forest slowly filled with the promise of rescue. In a quiet forest on the edge of uncertain borders, a clever young ninja girl named Naruko moved quickly between the trees. She had bright determination in her eyes and a calm focus that came from long hours of training and a strong heart. Though she sometimes wore a disguise to protect others, her kindness always remained the same. The nins. Where did those kids go? Ken asked, scanning the forest with frustration. How should I know? Kame replied, irritated as he looked around. Both of you stay focused, Maku said firmly. If we don't complete this mission soon, more trouble will come from our own side. We need to find them quickly and carefully. Just then, Kame pointed ahead. There. That girl. Naruko, disguised to protect her friend, was running through the trees. After her. Maku ordered. The three shinobi moved in pursuit. Dash. With Xian. Xian slowly opened her eyes, sitting up with a soft groan. Ah. What happened? She whispered. As her memory returned, she became worried. Naruko. You helped me, she said softly. I hope you're okay. She stood up quickly and tried to find her way out of the forest. But every path looked the same. I'm lost. She realized, her voice trembling slightly. And Naruko might still be in danger. Determined, she continued searching for help. Dash. Naruko and the nins. Naruko ran through the forest, glancing back to check her pursuers. She noticed they were still following. She quickly formed a small hand sign. A log-like decoy appeared ahead, drawing attention. Kame rushed forward and grabbed it. Poof! A burst of smoke and paper tags popped harmlessly, startling him and causing him to step back in confusion. That wasn't her, Ken said sharply. She's using tricky techniques, Maku replied. Stay alert. From nearby bushes, movement drew their attention again. One of Naruko's shadow-like duplicates dashed away. She's over there, Kame shouted, rushing forward. But when they reached the spot, the figure vanished into mist. A shadow clone, Maku said, impressed. She's more skilled than we expected. Naruko used the moment to reposition herself. However, Ken suddenly appeared in front of her and grabbed her arm. I've got you now, he said. Naruko calmly responded, Are you sure? She released a small flash pouch that popped brightly in his face, not harmful, but enough to make him step back and cover his eyes. That was clever, Ken muttered, blinking. Naruko slipped away again. Maku soon stepped forward and blocked her path. This ends now, he said seriously. Come quietly. Naruko shook her head gently. I can't let you take my friend. She tossed a small smoke tag between them. The area filled with a soft mist, just enough to blur vision and create space for escape. Naruko moved swiftly, but Maku anticipated her direction and tried to intercept her. The two briefly crossed paths, and Naruko was stopped, standing her ground firmly. You're fast, Maku admitted. But this isn't a game. Naruko nodded. I know. She then stepped back and focused her chakra. Wood release technique, she said quietly. From the ground, flexible wooden branches grew, not sharp or harmful, but strong and gentle. They wrapped around Maku and secured his movement safely against a tree so he could not continue the chase. Maku blinked in surprise. This power. It's extraordinary. Naruko didn't wait. She ran forward to continue her search for Xian. Dash. Shuta's arrival. Nearby, Shuta appeared holding Xian in a way that kept her from moving too freely, but she was clearly safe. Naruko. Xian called out. Don't come closer. Naruko stopped immediately, her expression focused and worried. Shuta smirked. If you try anything, this will become difficult for everyone. Naruko took a slow breath, staying calm. I won't let anyone get hurt, she said. She formed hand signs carefully. Wood release, gentle binding technique. From the ground, soft wooden vines rose again, not to harm, but to safely restrain movement and create space between Shuta and Xian. Shuta was carefully held in place against a tree trunk, unable to move forward but not injured. Xian quickly stepped free. Naruko, she said, relieved. You did it. I'm glad you're safe, Naruko replied with a warm smile. Dash. The nin's decision. Ken and Maku, now regrouped, looked at Naruko with a mix of surprise and respect. She's too valuable to ignore, Maku said thoughtfully. She could be important for the future. Ken nodded slowly. Still. She's just a child. Before anything else could be decided, the ground suddenly shifted with a deep, powerful presence. A massive wave of earth and roots rose between everyone, not aggressive, but protective, like a barrier forming a boundary. A woman stepped forward with strong, calm eyes. It was Tsunade, known for her legendary strength and wisdom. She looked at the scene carefully. "That's enough," she said firmly. The forest grew quiet. Naruko turned around, surprised. "Kachan." Tsunade's expression softened just a little as she looked at the girl. "You did well staying calm," she said. Naruko stood beside Shion, both safe at last as the tension of the forest finally eased under the watchful presence of a true protector. When they heard Naruko speak those words, the two shinobi froze in shock. The truth they had just realized filled them with fear. "Tsunade of the Sannin has a child," one of them thought, trembling as he tried to process what this meant. No wonder she's so strong. And no wonder that child carries such unusual power. "We need to report this immediately," the other thought urgently. "Back to Ame, as fast as we can." But before they could move, they felt a powerful presence behind them. Tsunade stood there, her expression calm but firm. Her protective gaze was fixed on the two intruders. Shizune appeared beside her shortly after, ready to assist, with Tonton staying close by. "Shizune," Tsunade said gently but firmly, "take Naruko and Shion somewhere safe. They don't need to see this." "Hi, Tsunade-sensei," Shizune replied. She quickly guided the two children away with care, making sure they were safe before anything else could happen. Once they were gone, Tsunade turned back toward the shinobi blocking their path. "You made two serious mistakes today," she said. "The first was targeting innocent children. The second was threatening my daughter, Naruko." Her voice remained steady, but her presence filled the air with overwhelming determination. The two shinobi hesitated, realizing they were completely outmatched. Before they could even attempt to flee, Tsunade moved with incredible speed, disarming them with precise, controlled strikes that ended the conflict without causing lasting harm. Both attackers were restrained and rendered unconscious before they could escape or continue their mission. When silence returned to the forest clearing, Tsunade ensured they were securely bound so they could be taken in for questioning later. Her expression remained serious, but her priority was clear: protecting her family and uncovering the truth behind the attack. Nearby, Shizune had reached a peaceful clearing with Naruko and Shion. She carefully untied them and checked them over. "Are you both all right?" she asked kindly. Naruko nodded slightly but stayed quiet, her eyes lowered. Something weighed heavily on her heart. Shion looked between Shizune and Naruko. After a moment, she explained everything she remembered: the ambush, the danger, and how Naruko had bravely protected her and led the attackers away so help could arrive. Shizune listened carefully. She felt both pride and concern. Naruko had shown incredible courage, but she had also placed herself in great danger to protect someone else. Shizune gently placed a hand on Naruko's shoulder. Naruko flinched slightly, then went still. "Naruko," Shizune said softly, "you don't have to carry this alone. You can talk to us." A moment later, Tsunade arrived, having finished securing the situation. She had cleaned the signs of battle away from her clothing, her presence now calm and reassuring. "I would also like to hear what happened," Tsunade said gently. "From you, Naruko." Naruko hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. "If I tell you, you might think I'm a monster." Before she could say anything more, Tsunade stepped forward and pulled her into a warm, steady hug. "Never," Tsunade said firmly but lovingly. "I could never think that about you. We're here to help you, not judge you." For a long moment, Naruko stayed silent. Then slowly, she began to speak. She explained how she had led the attackers away to protect Shion, how she had tried her best to keep everyone safe, and how everything had happened so quickly that she had acted on instinct. She admitted that one of the attackers had been knocked out during the struggle, something she hadn't meant to cause. When she finished, tears formed in her eyes. "I didn't want anyone to get hurt," she said quietly. "I'm sorry." Tsunade gently held her closer. "Naruko," she said softly, "you did your best to protect someone you care about. That is not something to be ashamed of. You are not alone in this." Naruko cried quietly in her mother's arms, finally letting out all the fear she had been holding inside. Shizune and Shion watched, both deeply moved. Shion felt guilty for the danger she had brought upon them, while Shizune quietly reassured her that none of this was her fault. After a while, the group calmed down. Even the captured attackers were taken away safely by local guards for questioning, ensuring justice would be handled properly. When they finally emerged from the forest, they were greeted by Shien's mother, the high priestess Miraku, along with her guards. "Shien," Miraku cried, rushing forward and embracing her daughter tightly. "Mother." Relief filled the air as mother and daughter reunited. Miraku then turned to Tsunade with deep gratitude. Tsunade gave a respectful nod and explained that Naruko had played a key role in protecting Shien during the incident. Miraku knelt before Naruko. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "You protected my daughter. I will never forget your bravery." Naruko gave a small, shy nod, still emotional but comforted by the kindness shown to her. As the group prepared to return to the estate together, the tension of the day slowly faded. Though the journey had been frightening, it also revealed courage, compassion, and the strength of protecting one another. And Naruko, though still young, took her first steps toward understanding that true strength was not just power, but love, honesty, and the willingness to protect others without losing her heart. A month after the attempted kidnapping of Shien, peace gradually returned to the lands. The news of the incident spread far, and while many nations became aware of the danger that had been stopped, the details of the brave efforts made by Naruko, Tsunade, and their companions were kept carefully private, as Tsunade had requested. In time, the allied nations connected to Oni no Kuni learned the truth about the daimyo of Sawa no Kuni and his role in the attempt to take the high priestess's daughter. With clear evidence delivered, the leaders of the allied nations responded with firm political pressure. They demanded responsibility, fairness, and peace. Faced with united opposition, the daimyo of Sawa no Kuni ultimately agreed to make amends, offering significant compensation and transferring certain territories to the governance of Oni no Kuni to help restore balance and trust. During this period, Naruko, Tsunade, Shizune, and Tonton remained at the estate. They stayed not only to ensure Shien's recovery, but also to help Naruko process everything she had experienced. With time, patience, and gentle guidance, especially from Tsunade and Shizune, Naruko slowly found peace in her heart. She learned that while difficult moments could leave heavy feelings behind, she did not have to carry them alone. As Naruko grew stronger emotionally, Tsunade eventually decided it was time for them to continue their journey. "Must you leave? You are all always welcome here," said High Priestess Miraku warmly. "Oni no Kuni owes you a great debt of gratitude." Haru, now fully recovered, nodded with a grateful smile. "We will never forget what you have done for us." Tsunade responded calmly, "We are grateful as well. But staying too long may draw unnecessary attention. It is better for us to continue quietly on our path." "I understand," Miraku replied gently. "But please know you will always be honored guests here. When the time is right, everyone will know of your kindness." "Thank you," Shizune said politely as she bowed. "We will return someday." Hachuho stepped forward and bowed deeply. "We look forward to the day we can properly honor Tsunade-sama and Naruko-sama for saving Lady Miraku and Shien." Shien, standing nearby, looked down sadly. "I'll miss you, Naruko-chan. You're my best friend." Naruko stepped closer and gave a bright, reassuring smile. "What do you mean, we're still best friends. That won't ever change." Then, as if she had been hiding something all along, Naruko carefully pulled out a small potted bonsai tree and held it out. "Here, Shien-chan. This is for you," Naruko said. "It's a Satsuki azalea bonsai. They're rare and take a long time to grow, but I took care of it because I wanted you to have something special." Shien's eyes widened with wonder. She gently accepted the small tree as if it were a precious treasure. "It's beautiful. Thank you, Naruko-kun." In a moment of gentle emotion, Shien leaned forward and placed a soft, friendly kiss on Naruko's cheek. The adults nearby paused for a brief moment in surprise before warm smiles spread across their faces. Shien stepped back shyly, her cheeks turning pink, while Naruko stood frozen, her face quickly turning as red as a ripe apple. Miraku chuckled softly, clearly amused. It seems Shien has grown very fond of Naruko. Shizune covered her mouth as she giggled. "They're so sweet together." Even Tonton let out a cheerful oink, as if joining in the celebration. Tsunade, however, crossed her arms with an exaggerated sigh. "This is exactly what I expected," she muttered. "These children get attached so quickly." Still, even she could not completely hide the faintest hint of a soft smile. As the group prepared to leave, Shien waved goodbye with both hands, standing beside Miraku, Haru, and Tachuho. Once they were out of sight, Shien's mother tilted her head thoughtfully. "Now that you've given your heart such a thoughtful gift, Should I start preparing for a future wedding? Okasan, Shion exclaimed, turning bright red as everyone nearby laughed gently. Far down the road, Shizune glanced at Naruko with a teasing smile. Looks like our Naruko-chan is already quite popular. Naruko flailed her arms in embarrassment. She's just my friend. That's all. And that kiss was just a friendly thing. Shizune tilted her head playfully. So you're saying she's your friend, and she's a girl. Which makes her your girlfriend, right? No. I mean, yes. I mean, no, Naruko stammered, getting more and more flustered. She's my friend. That's it. Shizune laughed softly, clearly enjoying the confusion. Even Tauntaun seemed amused, trotting along happily. Tsunade, on the other hand, looked ahead with mock seriousness. This is getting out of hand, she declared. I'm not ready for any of this growing up nonsense. Shizune leaned in slightly with a teasing grin. Should we prepare for the talk, Tsunade-sensei? Tsunade nearly stumbled. Absolutely not. She quickly added, Naruko is still just a child. She doesn't need anything like that yet. But despite her words, she kept glancing back at Naruko, who was still mumbling in confusion under her breath while walking ahead. Shizune giggled again, and the group continued their journey, the road ahead bright and full of new adventures, both in the world, and in Naruko's growing heart. And so, their story moved forward, one gentle step at a time. Guys, this is all for now. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Your support really helps the channel grow and keeps me motivated to bring you better videos every time. Thank you for watching till the end. This is Six Path Weeb, signing off for now. But not for long. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and keep exploring the world of anime with passion. Because every ending is just the beginning of another story.